Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with Creative Stamping with Margaret, and I'm back with another of the cards from the recent holiday cards, Christmas card class for the month of October. And I've got something here, let me brush that out of the way. And this card focuses on the Whimsy and Wonder Designer Series paper that's in the mini catalog, page 25. And it's a great card, non-traditional holiday colors, but yet it's very festive, and it's fun to shake things up and sort of get away from the traditional red and green that we tend to associate with the holidays. So for this card, I am focusing on using that Whimsy and Wonder Designer Series paper. Even these little packages have been cut for that. And as you see, I touched that with some ink on the side of my white card base. So I'm going to try something a little bit later to show you how to cover up if you accidentally hit the edge of a card. We're going to try something, but first let's get started. If you ordered the card class from me in your kit, you will have received materials for that. So we have our card base, which is the thick Whisper White 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. We can go ahead and take our bone folder. We can just fold that and use a bone folder along that score line to crease that to make our card base. You also have a piece of the pink Snowflake Designer Series paper, which is our second layer that we will add on the card. You have a piece of the pink Whimsy and Wonder Designer Series paper to add to your envelope flap to dress that up. You'll also have just a scrap piece of white for the sentiment. And then you will have also received a piece of the Designer Series paper with the gift packages on it, and you'll need to just fussy cut some packages out, the ones that you would like to use. And for the card that I am making, I've cut a couple of the longer pieces, and then I've also cut 2 of the little smaller packages. You'll also have one of the snowflake embellishments that's from that catalog that is also part of that Whimsy and Wonder. It's the wonderful snowflakes, and you'll find all of those on page 25 in that mini catalog. And then of course the in color shimmer paper, which is just gorgeous. And I have cut this using the coordinating dies that go with the Whimsical Trees bundle. It has no, actually this did not come from that die set either. Let me correct myself on that. That came from the Christmas to Remember die set. And for the sentiment, I'm going to use the Merry Christmas from the Christmas to Remember, but on my sample card, I used the We Wish You a Merry Christmas from the Holly Jolly Wishes, and then I just fussy cut around the Merry Christmas. And but I thought for this card, I'm going to use just the Merry Christmas from Christmas to Remember. So if you don't have these stamp sets but have another with a sentiment that you like, you could substitute that as well. Then for the interior of the card, you will have a strip of Designer Series paper that you can add to the bottom if you wish. And then of course, add your favorite sentiment. And for the card that I just showed, the sentiment came from the Encircled in Warmth, wishing you love, joy, and happiness this coming year. So let's start assembling this card. And this will come together very quickly. The thing that'll probably take you the longest is the fussy cutting. So first we're going to attach the Designer Series paper layer to the front of our card. And this does go from top to bottom, so there is with just an 1/8 of an inch border on each side. I will put the dimensions, if you're watching this on YouTube later and did not order the kit, I will be adding the dimensions on my blog for cutting the pieces for this card. And I got that down just a little. I need to open this card up and work it up. So there, perfect. That looks great. I have a little overhang. I'll go back and trim that afterwards. And then the next step is we're going to add, and I should have done this prior to adding, but I did not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and mark a little indent where I'm going to cut that and use my paper snips to cut that straight. It's easier to add this on there before adding it so you can trim. I had forgotten that was what the order to do that, but as you see, this works just as well. So we'll lay that. And then to add this, you just need, on this shimmer vellum, just add a couple glue dots to hold it in place, because we'll be putting things on top of that will hold it. And then next, use a glue dot. Now these wonderful snowflakes, they have two sides. One which has sort of the shiny side, and then just a matted color. I'm using the shiny side. You can use both sides, or both sides are can be used, but you just decide which you would like. But for mine, I wanted that little extra shimmer. So as you see, we just lay that. And now what I like to do is sort of, before I adhere these, sort of play around with the placement, how you would like these to go. I think I'm going to do this as such. I'll leave a little space for this pink one. So I think that's how I will do that. So now I'm going to start adhering these. Just lay these out. And of course, the nice thing about using it with the liquid adhesive is you have a little bit more play with it. So I think, and then this last one I'm going to place up on the Stampin' Dimensionals. And you can select any size package that you would like to use. But this is, for this one, these are the packages that I've decided to use. And then, as I said, for this last one, I'm using Stampin' Dimensionals to place and hold that in place on the card. And actually, I'm glad I have using the liquid adhesive. I need to move this over just a touch more to get the look that I want. And then we'll place that there. I'm going to move this one. I'm going to move it back up a little bit more. Just keep playing till I get the look that I want. And I moved it, and I should have left it. I see how I want that space. There we go. That's a little bit better. So we can see all of the packages there. So see how I have those packages lined up. Okay, so now we have that. So then the next step is we're going to stamp our sentiment, the Merry Christmas, that I'm using from Christmas to Remember. We're going to stamp it using the polished pink. I just love this pink. It's such a vibrant, beautiful pink. And then we'll just take our paper snips and we're going to fussy cut around this. Around the sentiment. And as you notice, I'm trying to keep the scissors. I'm moving the paper and not so much the scissors, but then when I get to this point, I do have to take off some of that excess paper. So I'm going to go back and start that so it'll be a little bit smoother around that T. And then we'll go down and just follow the letters as they come up, and then sometimes I have to go back and trim a little, but it really is, I really do like to trim around some of the sentiments. I just think it makes it a little bit more interesting. And I trim that to soften up so that I don't have the sharp edge. And here is where I lifted, so I sort of lost off of that. And we'll just go back. You just snip around so you have a little smoother area. So there we go. See, that takes no time at all. And we're going to add the small mini dimensionals to the back of this to add it to our card front. I really like this whimsical paper. It's very cute, as well as I like the whimsical stamp set. Has some gorgeous trees in it for holiday trees. And I need to cut this in half so it's not, even though these are the mini dimensionals, this is a little bit thinner than even the width of those dimensionals. So we don't want that poking out. I need to move this one. I can see it's a little bit lower than it should be. There. So now we remove our backing off of our dimensionals, but by popping it up on these dimensionals, it just adds a little bit more interest to our card front. So there. Let me pull this down just a touch so we can see the bow on our other. There we have it. There, we have the card, our Merry Christmas card, prepared. And as I noted, you can stamp your sentiment on the inside, and if you wish, add a strip. This is 3/4 by 4 1/4 to the bottom, or you could find a stamp that you'd like to stamp, or even cut another one of these packages and adhere it to the inside. And then, of course, you'll finish your envelope by just adding adhesive to the flap. Add this piece of paper to the flap of your envelope. I'll do that quickly just to show you how quickly this goes. And this is very easy to do. You just place that down. We'll rub that in. Then I'm going to set this aside for a moment to let it dry. It doesn't take long, and then we'll trim that up. But while we're waiting for that to dry, as I mentioned to you earlier when I was showing this sample that I made, I accidentally touched that with the ink pad. I brushed it up against the ink and got ink on the side. So what I'm going to try doing first is just taking the markers and coming down the side to see how that looks, to see if that covers that. This is the Stampin' Right marker, and I'm taking it right up to the edge. I'm just going to see. I'm not sure. I've never done this before, so this is a first for all of us. But I'm not really sure that I like the color of that white. It doesn't cover quite as good as I would like. So instead, what we're going to do is I've cut 2 1/8 inch pieces of the polished pink cardstock. So instead, we're going to add that along the edge. That will cover, that way we're covering the boo-boo, which I've even made worse by trying to cover it on the side. But you can see how quickly and easily this goes. So just remember that. Think of ways, if you accidentally mess up along the side or the edge of a card, look and see if you can add a piece of paper to cover that. We're just going to move this up so it's up all even. Let's do the other side. There. You'd never know that that had pink along that pink ink along that edge. So that's a variation. You may decide that you like this look and want to take some polished pink paper and cut along the edge. But now we have completed our Whimsy card, along with showing you how to correct that. So we'll do the envelope flap quickly. So as you see, you just take and trim along. Then you have your card all set, along with an envelope that's been embellished, so that whomever you send the card to will know that you took a little extra step by dressing up their envelope flap. So, hope you've enjoyed this Whimsy and Wonder holiday card. All of the details will be on my blog, explaining what size I cut the papers and all of the materials that are used. Thanks for joining me, and check out things at Creative Stamping with Margaret, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.